Hello and welcome to the Minimum Competence episode for Monday, February 10th. I'm your host for today, Andrew Leahy, a tax and technology attorney from New Jersey. On today's episode, we cover Musk's DOGE blocked from Treasury data, DOJ shifting focus to immigration, Trump's federal worker buyout, and the CFPB effectively shut down. Let's remember, compassion is the basis of morality, and read today's legal news. On this day in legal history, February 10th, 1967, the 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified, establishing clear procedures for presidential succession and addressing concerns about vacancies in the executive branch. The amendment was a response to historical ambiguities in presidential succession, particularly after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. Prior to its ratification, the Constitution provided little guidance on what to do if a president became incapacitated. The amendment formally allowed the vice president to assume the presidency if the president died, resigned, or was removed from office. It also established a process for filling a vacant vice presidency, a critical change since several vice presidents had died or resigned without a designated replacement mechanism. Additionally, it provided a procedure for a president to temporarily transfer power to the vice president, such as in cases of medical procedures. The amendment's fourth section allowed for the removal of a president deemed unable to discharge the duties of the office, though this provision has never been invoked. The first use of the amendment came in 1973 when Vice President Spiro Agnew resigned and President Nixon appointed Gerald Ford as his replacement. The amendment was invoked again in 1974 when Nixon himself resigned, making Ford the first unelected president in U.S. history. Since then, the temporary transfer of power provision has been used several times for medical reasons, including during surgeries for Presidents Reagan, George W. Bush, and Biden. The 25th Amendment remains a critical safeguard, ensuring stability and continuity in the executive branch. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, from accessing certain Treasury Department data and ordered the destruction of information already obtained. The ruling follows a lawsuit filed by 19 Democratic-led states against President Trump and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, alleging that allowing Musk's team access to personal financial data violates federal law. The judge found these states likely to succeed on the merits and cited risks of data exposure and hacking. The lawsuit argues that the administration implemented the policy without public explanation or a privacy impact assessment, violating the Administrative Procedure Act. The order prevents Treasury from granting access to unqualified individuals and mandates background checks for those with clearance. Meanwhile, a separate lawsuit filed by unions has also led to a temporary restriction on access to Treasury systems. The White House defended DOGE's role as a government efficiency initiative, while critics, including Senator Ron Wyden, accused the administration of misleading Congress about the extent of Musk's involvement. A hearing is set for February 14th to determine whether a longer injunction will be issued. The Justice Department is shifting resources from traditional priorities like counterterrorism and white-collar crime to focus on immigration enforcement under President Trump. Prosecutors are being reassigned to border districts, and the FBI's joint terrorism task forces have been directed to assist with immigration initiatives. Additionally, U.S. Marshals and DEA agents now have the authority to make immigration arrests. Attorney General Pam Bondi has ordered investigations into sanctuary jurisdictions and instructed DOJ units to prioritize foreign bribery cases linked to cartels over other white-collar crimes. Critics, including congressional Democrats, warn that diverting resources in this way could increase crime and weaken national security. Legal experts argue that pulling experienced prosecutors for immigration cases carries a steep opportunity cost, while counterterrorism specialists say their methods are not suited for handling migration. The move reflects a broader effort by the Trump administration to maximize the DOJ's role in immigration enforcement early in the new term, learning from past efforts to reshape asylum law and border policies. A U.S. judge will soon decide whether President Trump's buyout offer to 2 million federal workers can proceed. The plan, which offers employees pay through September if they resign now, has been challenged by federal workers' unions, arguing that Congress has not approved funding for it. Overseen by Elon Musk and his newly created Department of Governmental Efficiency, the initiative is part of Trump's broader effort to downsize the federal government. Democrats and unions have raised concerns over Musk's growing influence and DOGE's access to sensitive government data. While 65,000 employees have reportedly accepted the buyout, unions warn that the administration may not honor the deal. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, has already faced shutdown-like actions, with staff ordered to stop work and the agency temporarily closed. Meanwhile, Trump has hinted at further cuts, including in the Pentagon, as legal challenges continue to mount against his sweeping restructuring efforts. The aforementioned Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, has been effectively shut down under the leadership of Acting Chief Russell Vought, who ordered staff to halt all regulatory activities and cut the agency's funding. The move eliminates federal oversight of financial companies, drawing sharp criticism from consumer advocates and Democratic lawmakers. The National Treasury Employees Union sued to block Vought's action, arguing they undermine Congress's authority. Critics also raised concerns about Elon Musk's involvement, as his Department of Governmental Efficiency has gained administrative access to CFPB systems, despite Musk's business interests in the financial sector. Agency employees and unions accused Musk of trying to take control of his own regulator. Vote also ordered the agency's headquarters to close for a week and shut down public communications. The shutdown is part of Trump and Musk's broader effort to restructure the federal government, prompting legal challenges and public protests. And with that, and as always, I thank you so much for listening to Minimum Competence, your daily news podcast for lawyers. If you're looking for more than minimum competence, links to further reading on all the topics touched on today are in the show notes. And reviews go a long way towards helping new listeners to find our show. If you have a moment, leave a rating or review on your podcast player. We'd sure appreciate it. And if you know someone that might be interested in a story we cover, consider sending them the episode. But remember, nothing here should be construed as legal advice because it is certainly not that. Minimum Competence is available at minimumcomp.com and wherever it is you get your finely crafted podcasts. If you haven't checked out the website in a while, give it a look. There are complete transcripts and resources for each episode and its corresponding segments, as well as an opportunity to receive new episodes in email, newsletter, form. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and until then, remember, every person takes the limits of their own field of vision for the limits of the world.